Check.
Hi everyone, good morning. Welcome to Ad America. I'm Sim. I'll be your host for today. For those of you who are new here, Ad America is the US Embassy's American Center, and our mission is to provide a space for Indonesians to learn more about the United States. Today, we're going to have the last part of our four-part academic writing workshop with Hafilia R. Ismanto, who's an ETS-approved TOEFL IBT facilitator from International Test Center, Indonesia. But before we start, I have a quiz for you guys who are here on site and those of you who are watching online. And the question is true or false? A thesaurus is a resource that lists words with their synonyms and related concepts. Submit your answers on our social media, either on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. And the fastest person who can answer the question correctly will get a shout out from us at the end of today's workshop. Now, without further ado, I'm going to give the floor to our moderator for today, Kak May Latupono.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Buhafil.
Morning.
How are you? Good. Thank you for coming for our last part of academic writing workshop. My name is Mela Tupono, one of the Education USA advisor here at America. Before we give the floor for our wonderful speaker today, Buhafil, I would like to introduce a little about Education USA Indonesia. We are an advising network from U.S. Department of State. We have 6 centers in total, and Aceh, 2 in Jakarta in the U.S. Embassy, and at America, and then Surabaya, Malang, and Makassar. If you guys want to talk about anything, basically about the schools, about university options, about your scholarship options, reach out to us. Make an appointment at calendly.com/education USA Indonesia or calendly.com/education USA at America. And click any available time for you and chat with us. So without further ado, I will give the floor back to Ibu Hafilia.
Okay, thank you, May. Thank you, everyone. Hi, good morning for those of you who are here, okay, at America, and those of you who are online somewhere, okay. So the session, can I have my slide now? Right, as May said, that we are now entering the last session. This is the last session out of the series of sessions on academic writing, okay. And as a review, for those of you who did not join our previous sessions, okay, you can always see it again, watch it on YouTube. Yeah. The first session, I think we started, when was the first session? 4 weeks ago. Okay. We started 4 weeks ago. So, session one, we talked about what is an essay and, of course, the organization of an essay. We discussed about the introductory paragraphs, the body paragraphs, the closing, and, of course, the statements. Yeah. What does each of the parts of the essay consist of? In the introductory paragraph of an essay, of course, the most important thing is your controlling idea, which is your thesis statement. We talked about the body paragraphs, which should also contain, of course, the main ideas or the topic sentences in each paragraph. Okay. Then we moved on to the second session, which was outlining. Now you know already, when you knew already about the organization of an essay, then we start to get some ideas on what we want to write about, or maybe your professors, maybe your assignment is very already very specific on what you need to write about. And of course, then you start to make an outline, all right? Basically, an outline of the organization that we know about the essays. And actually, I just like to remind you, if you know how to make a paragraph, an essay is a longer version of a paragraph. It is an extension, it is a development actually of paragraph outlining. All right. Then we started to, so we already have an outline, right? We already have an outline. Now, what do we do next? Then you need, of course, to put your ideas into words. And like it or not, you're going to start to make sentences. We discussed from the very simple, basic ideas on what is a simple sentence, what's a compound sentence. And of course, today we're going to talk about, before we move on to the wrap up, we're going to talk about complex and compound. All right. I don't need to remind you about the simple and the compound. You can see it if you're not, if you don't know what it is, you're not sure about it, go to the previous sessions. All right. Make sure that you check out our previous sessions. Just remembering, okay, I'm just asking you to remember that basically a clause, okay, clauses are the building blocks of sentences. So we start right away with a clause. And what is a clause? A clause is just a group of words. A group of words that, of course, contain at least a subject and a verb. All right. Now, clauses have a subject and a verb. So we have decided last week or 2 weeks ago that on the right side of your um, of my slide, you have the very basic group of words, which is ecology is a science. So all you need to do is see, is there a subject there? Is there a verb there? When there is a subject and a verb, it makes it a clause. Okay? And when one is missing, or both are missing, all right, either the subject, the verb, or the subject and the verb, it means that it's not a clause. Okay? Now, you see the clauses there, and you see those group of sentences that those group of words that are not clauses. All right. We know that we have two types of clauses. Then we have the dependent and the independent clause. Okay. The independent clause is actually the sentence. All right. So a sentence is a group of words, or we can call it a clause that can stand by itself. A sentence can stand by itself. A clause can stand by itself when it is independent, meaning it has a subject and a verb. This is very important. It may sound very simple and basic, but it's very important because in your writing, sometimes we see a lot of fragments, meaning one is missing. It's like you're saying a fragment. Fragment is just a group of words, but it is not a clause. And it cannot be a sentence then. Okay? Remember we did this? Yeah? Now, we're going into this because when we see engineers who have an aptitude for drafting and mechanics, okay, must also be artistic and imaginative. I'm going to ask you to see this. There is one sentence actually there. Okay, this is one sentence, but there is an independent clause. You will see that there is a group of words which are independent. All right. And you will see there are a group of words which are not in this sentence, within this sentence. Okay. If I give you the underlined group of words, you will probably get the idea. So it started with a very simple sentence, right? It started with an independent clause. Gitu kan? A sentence is an independent clause. that we have agreed contains a subject and a verb. Okay? So look at the sentence: engineers must also be artistic and imaginative. Can you see that? We started with a very simple sentence. This is what you want to write. Engineers, what are some of the requirements of being good engineers? So suppose you're saying engineers must also be artistic and imaginative. Okay? And you want to tell more about this engineer. What else do they have? Okay? We think that engineers must have an aptitude for drafting and mechanics because they're engineers. Okay, you got that? But we're saying what we want to say, but they also have to have an artistic and imaginative uh, competence, okay? Capacity. So we're going to combine those ideas together. This is what compound and complex sentences are all about. We're combining ideas. Someone asked the other day how not to be wordy, gitu ya. And one way of not to be wordy is to make your sentences, to make 3 sentences combine into one, which then you will not be repeating same things again. So look at this very carefully. Engineers, that's the must, sorry, this is the independent clause. Engineers must also be artistic and imaginative. If I take the underlying clause, if I take the underlying group of words out of that sentence, can that sentence stand alone? Is it an independent clause or not? Does it have a subject? Itu aja. Does it have a subject? Yes. What's the subject? Engineers. Does it have a verb? Yes, it does. What's the verb? Must. Right? Done. So we can say engineers must also be artistic and imaginative. All right? Then you're going to have another sentence saying they also must be, or they also must have an aptitude for drafting and mechanics. You get the idea? Instead of having 2 sentences, 2 separate independent clauses, you can combine and make it into one. Now we're talking about the engineers, right? We're talking about them. And so we put in who have an aptitude for drafting and mechanics. My question is then, is like it or not, you're going to have to remember there are about 7, 8 types of words in English. We have nouns, we have verbs. What do we call words that describe nouns? Do you still remember? Big, small. Okay, if I'm talking about this bottle, this is big. Is it small? This is, I think, a 300 milliliter. So this is small, right? It's not a very big bottle, right? Okay, small bottle. Which one is the adjective? The small. So what does adjective do actually? What's the function of an adjective? She's beautiful. This room is big. It's bright here. So what do adjectives do? Beautiful, small, bright. It gives you information. It describes, right? a noun. I'm going to ask you to look at who have an aptitude for drafting and mechanics. Does it describe something? Does that group of words who have an aptitude for drafting and mechanics, does it give more information about something there? What information does it give? Which one? We're talking about what? Who have an aptitude for drafting and mechanics? We're talking about the engineer. Engineers is a noun. So this group of words describe or give more information about the noun. So we call it what's the name of the word that describe a noun again? Adjective, right? But this is not one word. When I said small bottle, when I said a bright room, that's one word. This is group of words. So this then becomes a clause. Agree? A clause is a group of words. Got it? And that group of words can function just as other words. For example, it can function as an adjective. When does a group of words function as an adjective? When the group of words describe nouns. Okay? You got that? Okay. Look at number 2. I have another sentence for number 2. While the contractor follows the blueprint, okay, the engineer checks the construction in progress. Look at that sentence. What's the meaning of the sentence? What are we saying there? Are we describing anyone or are we talking about an activity? And then look at the underlined group of words. What does that do? What is the function? What does that group of words do? Does it describe something or it tells you about when the engineer checks the construction in progress, something else is happening? So it's talking about when another activity is happening, right? While the engineer checks the construction in progress. And what do we call a word that tells us about when a verb happens? When we do something yesterday, last night, we're going to do something tomorrow. What do we call that word that we describe the verb? How did you come here? By public transportation, on foot. What do we call that word that describe a verb? An adverb. Like it or not, you have to remember this, okay? Before you start all your writing. You follow any prep course for IELTS, for IB2, gak ada yang tidak mulai dari ini, yang tidak mengcover ini. Because I will show you later, yeah, I will show you the rubric, the description for IELTS writing and for IBT TOEFL writing. They are also looking at your sentence level. Mau esainya sepanjang apa juga, organisasinya sehebat apa juga, gak bisa ngerti orang kalau your sentences is not clear. Okay, let's continue that. So, because this functions as an adverb, ya namanya, it's called an adverb clause. Okay? This functions as an adjective, then it's called an adjective clause. This functions as an adverb, it's called adverb clause. And what about this one? The last one. What do you think? What does it do? What does that group of words do? What's the subject? What are we talking about in this sentence? Do you know? The blueprint. Are we talking about the blueprint? Yes, we are. Here, since the blueprint, blah, 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 it. What is the it? The blueprint, right? So actually, your sentence is, it must be interpreted accurately by the contractor. Actually, your sentences, ini ada lagi ya, ingat-ingat. Kenapa ada it di sini? Because we already talk about blueprint. This is what we call a pronoun. A pronoun itu a noun that refers to another noun. Got it? And usually it's not very specific, but specific karena dia replace another noun. When the noun that it replaces is a person and the gender is a male, then it becomes he. When the noun it replaces becomes is a person and the gender is a female, then it becomes a she. Right? You remember? He, she. Okay, the dog. Well, now people who have pets call the dog it's a she because it's a female dog. But sometimes we don't know whether it's a she or a he. This a male dog or a female dog, and so we say it. You get the idea, yeah? Okay. When we talk about what is that, genders, but when we talk about things here, as you can see, I'm standing in front of a group of music equipment, right? Okay. And there are the drums, all right? There are the lightings, and I think we have the speakers. So I don't need to say speakers, drums, but I can say they. You got the idea? Because it replaces that. You remember that, yeah? So that's a pronoun. This pronoun actually replace blueprint because it's already been stated. All right. So the sentence is the very simple sentence. It must be interpreted accurately by the contractor. What must be interpreted by the contractor? The blueprint. What does this group of words do? What is the function in that sentence? Okay. It tells you about the importance, right? Because itu kan, since di sini sama dengan since I have been teaching since 1984 gitu, sama? No, 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 no. So since here is because. Gitu kan? Because the blueprint presents the details of the engineer's plans, it must be interpreted accurately by. Jadi fungsinya sebagai apa tuh kalau si because? Do you remember? Reason ya? Okay. And usually when we say because, reason, masih ingat fanboys? Those of you who follow us, you still remember the fanboys, yeah? The fanboys, because. So this is adverb. Ya, oke? Ya. Yuk terus dulu deh. Ini ada compound. Remember the fanboys? I said, don't forget. Just go back to our previous session. Nah, this is the complex. Yuk, sekarang kita lihat kompleksnya. A complex sentence contain one independent clause plus one or more dependent clauses. Contoh, Many students in the US have to work part-time. Bisa nggak saya kasih titik? Kalau saya mau berhenti, udah berhenti aja situ. Can I do that? Yes, I can. Kenapa? Udah lengkap. The idea is utuh, ya, is complete. And apa tadi? Independent clause that can stand by itself. A sentence has a what and a what? Subject, verb. Ingat loh, kalau kamu bikin tulisan gak ada subjeknya atau tidak ada verbnya, itu berarti you're writing a fragment. And that you're trapped doing that usually because you're making long sentences. Lama-lama apa namanya, lama-lama nyasar gitu, bingung. Hah, mana dia verbnya? Nah, ini kejadiannya di reading. Kalau udah reading kita juga sering nyasar karena the long sentences. You have to be able to pinpoint ini subjeknya yang mana sih? The subject can be very long. You got it? Right? So, here, this is the green one is an independent clause, right? Why? Ya gampang because it has a subject, it has mana dia worknya? Have to work, must kan di situ ya? Oke, ini this is the have to actually, right? Dependent clause starts with tadi because, emangnya kenapa? They have to work part-time. Because financial aid is difficult to obtain. You get the idea? This is, tadi ingat, since blah 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 blah. Do you still remember my sentence previously? So this is already because it consists of one independent clause. And it has one dependent clause. Gitu kan? Right? Jadinya apa? Complex. Beda ya sama compound ya. Compound itu two, gitu kan? Two independent clause put together. Alright? That's a compound. Kalau kompleks berarti ada yang gantung satu. Dia depend. This depends because you cannot say, nggak bisa titik, terus because financial aid is difficult to obtain. Terus kenapa? Gitu. Alright? Oke. Atau penulisan sekarang. Because you're talking about writing. You can put the because in front. This is very common. Because financial aid is difficult to obtain, many students in the US have to work part-time. When you put the dependent clause in front of the sentence, ada yang tanya, kita mulai dengan because boleh nggak? Ya boleh, nggak bilang nggak boleh, boleh, but make sure you write it. The punctuation must be correct, so you have a comma. Many students in the US have to work part-time. You see the difference? Yeah. The same two sentences. I mean, sorry. The same sentence, the same two clauses, but the way it is written. Nah, ini writing gitu loh. Sometimes you need to get to the details gitu ya. Karena ini yang dilihat juga oleh mereka. Okay, now the next one. One idea is generally more important than the other. We place the more important idea usually in the independent clause and the less important idea in the dependent clause. Kita mau ngomong apa sih sebetulnya? Di sini the important thing is that si anak-anak yang pergi ke United States itu often experience culture shock. You get the idea? Itu loh yang penting itu. Yang penting the idea that they often or they sometimes not just to go to the US, maybe to other countries that are not that you are not familiar with, itu pasti the first few months you need to adapt, kaget-kaget gitu, ya. So we usually say culture shock. That's your main point and that's where you put it as an independent clause. Because if I just write, they often suffer from cultural shock. D-nya diganti deh. Students in the United States or students from other countries often suffer from cultural shock. Full stop. That's possible, right? Now you say, tapi kapan dia experience culture shock? When students from other countries come to the United States. And remember, when you put the dependent clause in front, it means you need to have, okay? This is what we call mechanics. Yeah. Now, complex sentences have contained, remember, one independent, and at least one dependent. Itu kan tadi? Oke. Nah, dependent clauses-nya ada apa aja? Tadi, adverb, adjective, noun. Pokoknya si dependent clause, this group of words, berfungsi, act, okay, function the same as an adverb, adjective, noun. Nah, kalian mesti ingat, adjective ngapain, adverb ngapain, noun ngapain. Mau tidak mau. I'm not going to give you a lesson on grammar, but you know what you need to do. Okay, there are now thousands of sites that talks about this. You can even go to a lab, a writing lab that's open source, usually by universities in the US atau in the UK. Go to the writing lab. Lihat deh, dia pasti akan keluar lagi. Itu the college level loh, to the doctoral level. They will go again. They will of course publish again things about sentence structure. Okay? And if you forget what's an adverb, you look at it, look up. What's an adjective? Look it up. What's a noun? Look it up. Where does a noun fits in a sentence? Kan tata bahasa. Okay? That's I'm reminding you. Now, ini saya ingetin. So, kalau a complex sentence has an adverb clause, apa sih adverb itu? An adverb clause acts just like an adverb. What does an adverb do? Describe adverb. Ingat ya? An adverb describe a verb. Jadi describe apanya dari verb where. Where-nya. Describe apanya dari verb when. Describe apanya dari verb why. Okay? Describe apanya dari verb how. Alright? These are just a few of the things. Begins with a subordinator, we call it. Berarti kalau kita mau taruh a clause, itu usually begins with when, while. Kan tadi describe why-nya. Jadi ada because, ada since. Ingat tadi? Kalau kita mau walaupun, then you say although, if, so, or that. And you can put it before or after an independent clause. Remember, if you put it before with a comma, if you put it after, yang nggak perlu tanda baca. Ya, here, that's the example. Although women in the United States could own property, comma, they could not vote until 1920. You get the idea? Kalau mau dibalik boleh. Women in the United States could not vote until 1920, although they could own property. Ya. Okay. A citizen can vote in the United States when he or she is 18 years old. Ini when-nya ada di after the independent clause. So you don't need the punctuation, the comma there. Okay? Done. Adjective. Function as an adjective. Bedanya yang satu adjective itu kata, adjective clause is a group of words. Mau nggak mau kita harus ingat. si adjective itu apa ya fungsinya? The adjective describes a noun or pronoun. Okay? It begins, kalau kita jadi clause, it begins what we call with a relative pronoun. We talk about a person, jadi who. We talk about a thing, the drums, jadi that. Okay? The drums that are placed on the stage. The drums that are on the stage. We don't say the drums who are on the stage. Okay? All right. Those of you who are watching online, I don't say those of you that are watching online. You get the difference, right? Okay. It begins with a relative pronoun who, whom she met. Okay. Object, which itu biasanya sama dengan that ya. Alright. And then whose. The woman whose child. Yang anaknya. Ini paling sering loh dipakai. Adjective clause. Orang Indonesia itu seringnya pakai ini. Yang. Gitu. Indonesians use a lot of yang in your sentences. Coba deh dengerin diri sendiri and look at your writing. Itu pasti yang. Nah, yangnya itu is an adjective clause actually, okay? Follows the noun or pronoun it describes. Oke, nanti kita kasih contoh. Nah, ini yang rada-rada this is something that most of us forget, that we have a noun clause. Noun itu fungsinya apa? Noun itu dia berada usually as a subject or object. Masih ingat? Ya. Nah, sekarang yang jadi subjeknya tidak satu, but a group of words. And usually begins with a WH question word, why, who, when, where, and, or, that, whether, if. Kita lihat contoh. That there is a hole in the ozone layer of Earth's atmosphere is well known. Saya mau tanya, ini kalimat kalau dibagi subject, verb, gitu kan? Masih ingat ya? Kalimat itu kan sebenarnya sederhana, harus ada subjeknya, pokok kalimatnya, gitu kan? And then there is must be a verb. Where is the verb in this sentence? Is. Is yang mana? Ada dua is. This one? Good. Berarti subjeknya kalimat ini yang mana? Itu your reading. Ini biasanya kekusutan di reading. If you don't read like this, kalian pasti pusing. Grammar structure itu ada dua hal. You will understand your reading better and you will write better. Di situ loh. That's why it's important. If you can understand, oh, we are talking about that there is a hole in the ozone layer of Earth's atmosphere. Gitu kan? Gak bisa tarik napas di tengah ya. Gak bisa that there is. There is apa? A hole. A hole in. The ozone. Layer of Earth. Itu jadi gak beres. You got it? The way that you need to chunk it is, this is the whole subject. This is the verb. All right? And what's this? By the way, Baswe? Ini apa ya? Mendeskripsi. This one, right? Adjective. Pakai verb ya. Gak bisa ya. In English, subject, adjective. Saya pandai. Gak bisa loh. In English, I am. Harus ada verbnya. Oke. Good. Nah tapi dia sebagai subjek kan. Jadi berarti dia apa? Is it an adjective? Does it describe a noun? No. Is it an adverb? Does it describe when the verb takes place, where? Enggak kan? So this is a noun clause. In bahasa Indonesia, how do you understand this? In bahasa Indonesia gimana? Kalau kita mau kita mikir dalam bahasa Indonesia dulu deh, biar nggak pusing. That there is a hole in the ozone layer of Earth's atmosphere. That-nya itu how do you say it in bahasa? Ada satu yang jawab bahwa, betul? Ya, bahwa bla 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 is well known. Nah, ini jadi subjek ya. This is a noun, alright? Which starts with that. Go to the next sentence. Scientists know what caused it. Cari dulu verbnya. What's the verb? No. What's the subject? Scientists. Scientists know apa? Ini kan? A clause, right? Jadi what caused it? Apa yang menyebabkan sesuatu, it-nya whatever. Gitu kan ya? Berarti dia acting as what? Fungsi dia apa di sini nih group of words? Subject, verb, object. Gitu kan ya? Know apa? Berarti dia noun. Betul? Tadi kan noun functions as subject or object. Berarti ini noun clause. Berarti ini complex sentence. You got the idea? Oke. Nanti sampai rumah lihat lagi. I know this is like okay. You need time to understand this. Saya aja baca ini saya perlu mikir gitu. So you need time to understand this. Okay. Now tell me. Which one? Number one, is it compound? Is it complex? Atau compound complex? Compound complex itu gampang sebenarnya. If you already know the compound and you already know the complex. Itu kan. Jadi tinggal di dalam struktur itu ada compound ya, dalam biasanya the big structure is compound. Tetapi di dalamnya ada kalimat kompleks. Do you get it? That's what we call compound complex. Itu aja. If you already understand compound and complex itu gampang. Oke, let's go. Number one. Ini compound atau kompleks? Lihat dulu clauses-nya. Ada clauses. Two independent clause makes a compound ya. Do you have two independent clause or one independent and others dependent? Dua-duanya independent. Which one? Iya, I wanted to travel after I graduate from college. Ini independen kan, berdiri sendiri. Ini bisa berdiri sendiri? Bisa. Berarti tinggal digabung gitu kan ya. Masih ingat? Masih ingat? Semicolon. And then you have the subordinator. And then you have comma. Punctuation. Oke? Nah, apakah ini struktur besarnya compound? Betul. Ada nggak kompleksnya di dalam? Jadi kalau tadi oke, dia independent clause betul, tapi ada nggak tadi adverb clause atau adjective clause, ada noun clause di one of the sentence? Yang mana? Nope, not this one. Coba lihat lagi. Ada nggak kata-kata, a group of words in one of, kan you udah mengatakan ini satu kalimat loh. Bisa berdiri sendiri gitu kan ya. Ini kalimat juga bisa berdiri sendiri gitu kan ya. Oke. Ada nggak yang di dua kalimat itu salah satunya group of words that act as an adverb. Tadi ada apa lagi? Ada adverb clause, ada adjective clause, ada noun clause. Ada nggak yang group of words in one of the sentence that act as adverb atau adjective atau noun? Ada, tidak ada? Ada. Mana? Beautiful. Great. Easy? Gampang kan? Oke. Jadi mana yang kompleks? Which one is the complex sentence? This one, right? This complex sentence is combined with what? Dengan ini kompleks atau simple? I had to work immediately. Ini kompleks. This is a simple sentence. I had to work. Itu kan, I had to work immediately. Oke. Jadi berarti one complex sentence, you get the idea? Dia di-combine with another sentence. Makanya disebut oke. Look at number 2. Long sentence ya. This is a typical academic text. Academic text, your textbooks tidak ada kalimat yang pendek-pendek. Your textbooks kalimatnya panjang. Kenapa? Because they have facts. Dipadatkan, compact. Kalau enggak itu bukunya bisa ribuan halaman gitu. So, okay. So take a look at this. Can you see any complex sentence there? Which one? The first one or the second one? This one? For example, ini then you have a sentence, right? Fishermen on the Bay of Bengal can now receive online weather reports that tell them when it is safe to go out. Is that a complex or not? Complex, karena ada apanya? Mana ada adverb clause, ada adjective clause, atau ada noun clause? Noun, yang mana nounnya? Ini noun. Coba dilihat lagi. Betul, ini adalah the dependent clause. Tapi fungsinya sebagai noun. Baca lagi. Weather reports that tell them. Si that tell them itu ngomongin apa sih? The weather reports kan? Berarti is it a noun clause or is it an adjective clause? Adjective clause. Got it? Oke. Ya ini pasti giveaway ya. Kalau ini udah pasti noun gitu kan ya. Kan you have the adverb and you have the adjective. Okay. Ini pasti noun clause. Can you find the noun clause then? Di kalimat pertamanya dulu. Researchers say ini bisa you say that, bahwa bisa juga di reduce. Kita ambil. This is also a very common writing. So you can write researchers say bahwa climate change is real, but opponents have different point of view. Or you can write researchers say climate change is real, but opponents have different point of view. But we believe that when you're writing like a thesis, when you're writing an academic paper, the word that should be used. Jadi jangan kita tarik, walaupun itu banyak sekali in articles, Okay, it's possible. But if you're writing for an academic purpose, then the formality is using the that. Okay, better to use that. All right. Jadi udah kelihatan dong, right? This one is dia say apa gitu kan? So this is the noun as a subject or as an object. Researchers say dia say apa as an object. Okay. Terus yang the second sentence, how governments are fighting global warming is being scrutinized by the media. Mana the noun clause-nya? Which one is the noun clause for the second one? How the government. Good. Right? The first one acts as an object. The second one acts as a subject. Okay? All right. Yeah? Okay. So, quickly, I wanted to travel after I graduated from college. However, I had to go to work immediately. This is not the only way to say it. You can write also if you want to. Kan bisa diganti. After I graduated from college, I wanted to travel, but I had to go to work immediately. Bisa juga penulisannya berbeda-beda. You get the idea? Okay. I wanted to travel after I graduated from college, but I had to go to work immediately because I had to support my family. Okay? Where you put the clauses, different position, different way of writing, one idea. Ini sama, but you can write it differently. You can put it as number 1, you can put it as number 2, number 3, as well as number 4. Just take a screenshot and look at it and think about this. All right. I'm just giving you the various ways of writing. Now, yeah, this is refining. After you have written, of course, last week we discussed about this when you look at your first draft. This is what we call editing. When you look at your first draft, then you think, how can I, is there any ideas that I can make it more compact? And maybe you decide to, itu tadi biar nggak wordy, kok bolak-balik ya, saya ngomong ini, itu. You can combine your sentences, make it a compound as well as maybe you want to make it a complex, or compound complex. Gitu intinya. Itu adalah what we call editing, refining your sentences. Okay? This was done last week. So I'm just reminding you. Nah, menurut pembaca, academically, you can improve this piece of paragraph. Ada sesuatu yang bisa kita improve when we edit. If we see it, Rosa Parks is a famous African American woman and she is often called the mother of the civil rights movement. She was born into a poor family. She was born into a poor but hardworking African American family in Alabama, and no one suspected that she would become the spark that ignited the civil rights movement in the United States. This movement changed U.S. society forever, and it helped African Americans attain rights under the law. Nggak ada yang salah. But can we improve? One critique one writing critic, one writing professor says, this paragraph has too many compound sentences. Nggak salah. Tapi style of writing, you see now? Ini banyak banget compound sentencesnya. What happens is the style is boring because so many sentences use and. Ada and lagi, ada and lagi, ada and lagi. Remember? Ini sentence ya. Remember when we were talking about vocabulary juga kan? Gak bolak-balik difference, 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 difference. Remember when we were talking about the differences between American and British English? You can use the word thesaurus kan jadinya pakai various, pakai divergence. I hope you remember session 1. Writing is you have to avoid redundancy. Itu intinya. To make your writing more interesting. Okay? How can we improve this? Parks became famous quite by accident. One day in 1955, she was on her way home from her job in Montgomery, Alabama, department store. She boarded a city bus with 3 other African Americans. They sat in the 5th row. The 5th row was the first row African Americans were allowed to sit in. Remember, at that time there was discrimination, in the US. A few stops later, the front 4 rows filled up. A white man was left standing. Kan yang row kelima, the African Americans. Nggak boleh dia duduk di depan. Di depan are the whites. You got the idea? Ini masa diskriminasi. Waktu si 4 row itu udah penuh, ada a white man nggak kebagian kursi. Get it? Ya udah, ini ceritanya. Tapi in terms of the writing style. Nggak ada yang salah ya. Nggak ada yang salah loh. But how do you make it better? Paragraph 2 has too many simple sentences. You got that? Apa yang terjadi jadi choppy. Jadi itu tadi, redundant. Parks became quite famous by accident. One day, terus diceritain. She boarded a bus. They said, ini bisa nggak sih digabung? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So your sentence becomes more compact. Okay? Okay. Itu ini urusan editing. This is what you need to see. And the last, according to the laws of that time, African Americans had to give up their seats to whites. Jadi ternyata si bapak yang berkulit putih ini dia nggak dapat kursi, but yang di belakang harus memberikan tempat duduknya. So the bus driver asked Parks and the 3 other African Americans to get up and move. Although the others complied, yang lain complied. Parks refused. She later said she was not tired from work, but tired of being treated like a second-class citizen. The bus driver called the police, who arrested Parks and took her handcuffs and took her away in handcuffs. You see the difference? Mudah-mudahan dari yang kedua. Nanti look at it again at home when you are reviewing it using your YouTube gitu ya. Coba dilihat lagi deh. Beda loh. Yang ketiga ini dia lebih enak because it's more compact, right? Tapi ini sebetulnya uses a good mixture of sentence types. So this is probably the best atau yang paling oke di antara semua. Kemana ini semua membawa kita? I know that many of you or some of you are very interested in academic writing because at the end of the day, yeah, maybe your goal is to get a scholarship, to be able to study abroad, get the most valuable opportunity to get a scholarship and study abroad. Like it or not, before you are accepted, you have to meet the requirements of a standardized test. Whether that is the TOEFL IBT, whether that is the IELTS, sekarang ada juga the Pearson Test of English, PTE. Banyak sekarang. Ada juga Duolingo. Okay? So, whichever test, there will be a writing part in the test. Intinya gitu loh. Ya, apakah ilmu ini semua matters or not? If you have a very good basic, if you have a very good principle of how to write, itu tadi semua sudah dipegang. Okay? That will help you when you get this kind of task. I'm showing you a description. This is how your writing, if you go for the TOEFL IBT, this is how your writing piece will be evaluated. Skornya dari mana? Skor 5, 4, 3 itu nggak asal-asalan. Karena mereka, the raters pegang what we call rubrik. Di TOEFL IBT namanya rubrik. Oke. Ini for writing an academic discussion. By the way, Baswe, this is the newest mulai Juli 26. TOEFL IBT writing task 2-nya berubah. Tesnya agak berubah sedikit. Lebih pendek dan writingnya ada bagian yang berubah. This will start July 26, 2023. Ya, yang tadinya tidak ada ini ada. Replacing another. Replace yang lama. Oke. Jadi ini academic discussion. Nah, lihat deskripsinya. You will get a 5 which is the highest score for the, ini raw score ya, for the IBT writing. Lihat deh di sini. Ini aja nih. Nih, relevant and well elaborated explanations, exemplification and or details. Di dalam tulisan kalian ini terlihat. Ini kita bicara about cohesion, coherence, outlining. Remember that? Paragraphs. Gitu ya. Effective use of a variety of syntactic. Syntactic itu grammar. Syntax itu grammar. Structure. Saya nggak ngomongin tenses. Itu tenses urusannya lain lagi. Oke. Tapi structures loh. That's why I said sentence structures. Remember? Precise idiomatic word choice. That's when we talk about the thesaurus. Ingat. Nggak bisa juga asal ambil sinonim. Kan gitu kan? So here it is. Ini keluar. Almost no lexical itu vocab, or grammatical errors other than those expected from a competent writer writing under time condition. Jadi kadang-kadang ada slip, tapi mereka tahu ini lagi kan lagi tes, right? Ya, oke. Mau dapat 4, ini keluar lagi. You have to show a variety of syntactic structures and appropriate word choice. Balik lagi. And this is what we talk about in session 1, session 2, session 3. Got it? Oke. Makanya saya kalau saya disuruh ajarin gimana TOEFL IBT writing, saya jalan mundur. You get the idea? That's why Education USA made this writing, academic writing, supaya saya nggak jalan mundur. supaya I bring you first, get the principle. Fondasinya deh, pegang dulu. Setelah itu baru kita bicara nanti the genre, ya. Kayak apa sih soalnya, you get it? Tapi you udah tahu, ibaratnya anak mau ujian matematik, nah tapi kan harus tahu dulu dong, tambah, bagi, kurang. Nah kalau itu nggak dipegang, ya susah, alright? Oke, so 3 ini partially, some, lihat deh, effective, ada, oke, a variety, ada di sini some. Oke, that's what makes it different. Soalnya kayak gini nih. This is the new TOEFL IBT writing task 2 that will be implemented in 20 starting. Those of you who are taking the TOEFL IBT, by the way, yang lagi nonton juga di mana aja, you're taking the TOEFL IBT 26 July. Please make sure you access ets.org because they are already announcing this. Ini yang tadinya tidak ada yang lain digantikan dengan ini. Ya, coba lihat, express and support your opinion, make a contribution to the discussion. An effective response will contain 100 words. You will have 10 minutes to write. Your professor is blah blah blah. Write a post responding to your professor's question. Okay? Itu mau nggak mau nanti mau nggak mau nanti ada tadi kan yang kemarin argument. Why your opinion? IELTS, sekarang kalau IELTS. Ini ada khusus nih, IELTS and your complex sentences. Kalau IELTS tidak ada scoring 1 sampai kalau dia kan kalau IBT itu raw score-nya 0 to 30 for each skill. Tadi 5 itu raw score yang nanti akan dikonversi ke 0 to 30 gitu. Ya. Nah, kalau IELTS kan ada band of 6. Ini minimum loh, band of 6. Rata-rata semua akan minta band of 6. Ya. Kalaupun turun ya 5,5 deh gitu. Nah, remember that to score at the band of 6, which is the normal IELTS bands that universities ask for. Dan for grammatical range and accuracy criteria of the IELTS writing. Ya. A mix di sini ditulis jelas-jelas di dalam band descriptor. Kalau IBT punya rubrik, kalau IELTS punya band descriptor. Bedanya apa? Formatnya beda. Itu aja. Yang satu manggilnya band descriptor, yang satu ngelabelnya rubrik. It's the same thing. Kontennya ya sama kok. Ini semua that kita pelajarin loh. Cohesion and coherence and cohesion. Lexical. Ingat lexical ada hubungannya dengan apa? Vocab. Grammatical range and accuracy. Di band 6, kalau mau nyampe ke band 6 aja nggak usah jauh-jauh ke 9 lah. Ada ini. A mix of simple and complex sentence forms. Used. Maksudnya simple and complex, yaitu yang seperti tadi si Rose Parks, remember? The third example, the third paragraph, ya. Example number 1 itu yang masih sangat simple gitu. Part 2 yang kebanyakan itu lagi. Tapi kan dia bilang band of 6, a mix. A mix. Ada simple, oke. But dia juga pakai variasi yang lain. Just like in paragraph 3. Oke? Ya. Alright. Take a screenshot of this. This is your bands. You also need to know kenapa sentences itu penting, yang biasanya grammar itu semua pasti sebel. Ya memang saya tahu, tergantung Anda belajarnya gimana. How do you look at grammar? Jangan dipusingin gitu grammar itu. what's good for you, what makes it beneficial for you. It's not your writing. You have to start understanding the question. Nah, kalau questionnya aja di IELTS begini nih, a growing number of people feel that animals should not be exploited by people and that they should have the same rights as humans, while others argue that humans must employ animals to satisfy their various needs, including using uses for food and research. Ini promptnya. Promptnya aja udah sepanjang ini, you get it? Paham ya? Terus kan kamu harus ngerti dulu nih, gimana? You have to understand the prompt first. And if you only can understand the prompt very well, if you understand the sentence well, right? Ini pakai complex sentences, oke? Compound complex dengan noun clause loh semuanya. Lihat, that, gitu kan? Alright. Baru kemudian you have to discuss both views and give your opinion. Dua-duanya loh. What do you think of people who says this and what do you think of people who says that? All right? So, knowing your sentences will help you. And you will start with, personally, I do not believe blah 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 blah. Biasanya in an academic writing kita tidak contracted form. We do not say don't. We say do not. We don't say can't. We say cannot. Okay? Kan akhirnya you pakai juga. Now you have to use it, right? You understand it. Now you have to use it. Okay. So to wrap up, sorry. I'm just going to remember this. Yeah. And then we also have to remember that's the first session. This is the second session. Making the outline, right? Okay. And we have to then, we talk about sentence structure. Yeah. Okay. I also talk about, can I just have 5 minutes before I open for a question and answer? Ya. Oke. Many of you, sekarang gini, ini lagi hebat, debate yang sangat hebat. And I think a few weeks ago, the one who created ChatGPT, Sam Altman, came to Indonesia. Do you know that there was a big conference where all the IT guys were there? And including, of course, our Minister of Education, who started also a tech company loh, Gojek, Topet, Shopee, Grab, itu semua tech, basisnya di teknologi. And the concern was from your professors, from your teachers, dengan adanya si ChatGPT ini atau si AI, ChatGPT itu hanya satu di antara ratusan artificial intelligence yang sudah dipakai. Ya, test makernya IELTS, test makernya TOEFL juga pakai artificial intelligence to make their job lebih cepat gitu. They use artificial intelligence. I know where they use it gitu ya. Nah, jadi ada kebingungan. Your professors are very, atau guru-guru, tenaga pengajar, gimana nih kalau murid kita semua nyontek? Bukan hasilnya dia. Oke? I'm not afraid of artificial intelligence because I know my students better. I know which work is not produced by my student. Saya tahu because I go through their process of writing dari awal kan. Kalau tiba-tiba ada anak yang bisa jebret ngasih yang Tiba-tiba dia bisa bikin compound kompleks. Yang tadinya nulis sebelumnya aja assignment-nya compound aja berantakan. Do you get the idea? Because I know my students well and the progress. I'm not afraid of the AI. Bahkan saya kasih mereka. Jadi ini untuk kalian. Hold on ya. This is an AI generated writing. Okay. You see my ChatGPT. That's my ChatGPT. You see that? Open source kan? Ya. I gave the command. Ingat loh, dia robot. Dia robot. Otaknya ada di Anda. Robot itu tidak akan melakukan sesuatu if you do not give the command. Nah sekarang manusianya komennya yang mesti pinter. Gitu. Yang mesti specific the command. So I just wrote, ini iseng. Write a 100 paragraph about 100 per paragraph about an inspiring person for a level B1. B1 itu ada urusannya deh ya. Oke, keluarlah dia. You get the idea? Beres ya? Macam-macam sih emang keluarnya. Nanti kalau A1 saya pengen tahu aja gitu, kayak apa sih bedanya gitu. From B1 to A1. Alright. Terus keluar ini kan. I gave this to my students who were studying academic writing, who were preparing for the either the TOEFL or the IELTS. Tapi pokoknya mereka dapat academic writing. Saya tanya, you have some critiques? Bisa nggak benerin? Perlu dibenerin nggak? You get the idea? I didn't tell them this came from AI. I just told them, here, I have a piece of writing. It's like the Rosa Parks. Okay? So I just give it to them. I said, tell me, this is okay? Udah nih, beres. You want to give a critique? What do you want to do? All right? You got the idea? Yeah? We discuss something else. Ini contoh aja. We discuss something else. My question, ada cohesion? Enggak. And then, so then I talk about something else. Right? Dari situ dia lihat sesuatu. They pick up what's good about it. And then this is also generated, AI generated. I give it to them and I ask them, ada cohesionnya enggak? All right. And next was akhirnya what they did was they reshuffle. They thought, why don't we do it this way? This is my Jamboard. I usually, because I'm online, I use a Jamboard. So they can participate and I can participate. All right. And this is what they did. They shuffled the sentences because they think it will, the organization will be better if they do it this way. They didn't know that was AI generated. What does this prove? It proves that it is never perfect. The robots got all the information from us. Ya, dia ngambil itu semua yang ada di Google. Kalau kita kan jadi satu sana ke sini, dia bisa summarize itu semua. Siapa yang naruh di Google? Ya kita juga. Right? From our papers, from whatever. Nah, what am I saying? What am I saying? It's not perfect. Dan kalau gurunya tahu your progress, they will know. This is not your work. Okay? Now, and this is about the AI, yeah? This is what I want to say about the AI. So, yes, you go ahead, use the AI to help you. Silahkan. Kalau nanti pada waktu tes ya kalian nggak bisa pakai AI gitu ya. Ya pasti nggak bisa, oke? But silahkan pakai, but learn from it. Learn from it so that you will be able to produce something better. Itu. Kritik from it. Bisa dikritik? Bisa. My students did that. Okay? So it's not everything. All right. So with this, so that's just a little bit about how AI will help you. Yeah. And I think I still have about 5 minutes. Gitu ya. Tinggal 5 menit ya. For any responses, questions, and answers before we say goodbye. And if you need further clarification, do take a look at the previous sessions. That's on YouTube, session 1, session 2, session 3, and then this last session. You know where to contact me just in case you need to clarify things, right? You also have your advisors there to help you from Education USA. Yeah, ada May and Carolina. All right. Any questions that I need to respond to?
Good afternoon. Thank you for the presentation. My name is Grace. I would like to ask about the word. Is it better to use however or therefore, or we can also use so and but in the TOEFL IBT writing?
You can use any. It doesn't matter. Tapi kalau so beda kan dengan did you follow the previous session, Grace?
No, this is
Okay.
my first.
So you better take a look at the previous sessions. I think it was in session 3 that we did a lot of itu subordinates kan, fanboys gitu kan. Jadi we did talk at length. Sebetulnya it doesn't matter. Jadi bukan karena you use however lebih keren daripada but. No, no, no. Ya Grace ya. Tapi dia perlu, yang penting adalah the variety. You see that? Gitu loh. Jadi you nggak selalu pakai but gitu loh. Nggak selalu apa-apa titik koma however koma, titik koma however koma. Itu juga jadi redundant kan, Grace? The idea is to mix. Ingat nggak tadi yang dapat 5 atau berapa kan? Atau dari baik IELTS 6 maupun IBT 4 atau 5 itu mereka larinya ke situ. Variety. Jadi di balance. Mereka nggak bilang bahwa kamu nggak boleh pakai simple sentence. No, 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 no. Pakailah. Tapi as you see fit. Gitu ya. Yang pas gitu untuk dipakai. When to combine the ideas. Pakai compound. And when you need that anak kalimat yang masuk ke pokok kalimat. Then you use the complex. Right?
Thank you very much.
I hope that answers your question. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Felita. I'd like to ask about IELTS writing task 2, where you have to take a stand, right, usually. What if I tend to agree with both sides? Do I still need to have a firm stand on one side, or can I have like agree with both sides?
You can agree with both sides. Di sini malah minta you have to discuss both sides loh. Dalam hal ini ya. In this particular apa namanya soal, right? Ya, jadi dia harus discuss both views loh. Berarti you need to give your opinion to those who feel that animals should not be exploited, right? And those who feel that humans must employ animals to satisfy their various needs gitu. Berarti dua-duanya.
It's not really necessary to have a stand on either side.
You give your opinion to each, but then at the end, boleh. Then then you can say, this is how I feel about this. Kan berarti kalau you condong towards the second one, berarti yang ini pasti your opinion sudah negatif kan? Ya enggak? Nah nanti di sini tinggal you agree. Yang di sini you disagree, ya nggak apa-apa. It's okay. Ya.
Thank
Nah,
you.
kalau I think what you're asking is tadi kalau kita nggak pilih salah satu, kita agree with both, gitu kan? Dengan catatan. Pasti kalau agree with both ada catatan dong. It depends. Usually my advice would be pilih satu deh, either you agree or not gitu loh. Gitu. Supaya make your life easier. You know, ya kadang-kadang sebetulnya lebih gampang saya provide arguments to agree padahal saya disagree sebenarnya, gitu kan. Tapi your mind is that, tapi kayaknya lebih gampang saya menyusun, karena ini contradictory banget. Saya menyusun ide yang most people agree, but I really disagree. Tapi lebih gampang saya nulisnya kalau apa yang other people think agreement. You get it? Boleh nggak? Jadi saya bilang this is not an honesty test. They don't care whether you agree or disagree. They care how you express yourself. When you agree, when you disagree. Jadi kalau tadi pertanyaan awalnya di tengah-tengah. My first reaction or my first thought would be pilih satu. Supaya kamu jelas gitu loh. Karena kalau di tengah-tengah akhirnya gitu kan. Then you have to have compare, contrast. Compare, contrast. Agak rumit loh itu. But if you're ready for it, go ahead. Boleh, jadi bukannya nggak boleh. Ya, right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay? May? And somebody talk about May? I think that's in share what's the AI website. Tinggal tulis, tinggal you just use ChatGPT keluar sendiri nanti open source. Banyak banget sekarang. Okay? Have you tried ChatGPT? Enak kan? Enak sih enak ya, tapi you are the human, get it? So you need to, I use it sometimes, but then I always need to like revisit it, revise it, dipoles sana, poles sini, jadi it's never perfect. But I do learn a lot from it. Oh, itu bagaimana you say that, oh this is the informal way. Nah, jadikan itu as your learning, bukan untuk nyontek, got it? Ya, ya nyontek juga bisa pinter sih kita gitu. Tapi sekarang bukan menyontek, take it as it is karena we have the human brain. Jadi screen it. Alright. I think the time is up. Yeah, okay. So thank you everyone. Yeah, thank you Education USA and Ad America.
Okay, thank you so much, Bu Hafil, for the insightful workshop session, and also to everyone who have joined today. At the beginning of today's workshop, I had a quiz for you guys who are watching, and the question was, true or false, a thesaurus is a resource that lists words with their synonyms and related concepts. And the correct answer is true. You can check a thesaurus if you're looking for the synonyms of a particular word. Shout out to @Tina_Purbawati from Instagram for being the fastest to answer the question correctly. If you're interested to join more of Ad America events, you can check out our social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at AT America. We also live stream our events on YouTube, so feel free to check out our YouTube channel as well. That is all for today, everyone. See you at the next Ad America event.